The throne room of the Sky Palace had never felt so large. Queen Arethusa stood alone beneath the high silver arches, her four wings folded tight against her back. The stained glass ceiling painted the marble floor in colors of blue and gold. Normally, the sight calmed her. Today, it only reminded her how empty the palace felt. Her daughter was missing. Princess Liriel, heir to the Averan High Nest, had vanished 3 days ago. 3 days, for a species who could cross continents on a strong wind. 3 days was an eternity. Scouts had flown in every direction. Guard captains had searched the lower markets. Messengers had been sent to the border towers. There had been no sign of struggle, no ransom demand, no broken wards. It was as if the young princess had simply stepped out of the sky. Arethusa did not show fear in public. A queen could not afford it. But when the chamber doors closed and the courtiers withdrew, she allowed her claws to curl into her palms until the tips drew blood. Liriel was not reckless. Curious, yes. Compassionate to a fault, yes, but not reckless. The only unusual factor in the city that week had been the arrival of a human envoy. Humans, short-lived, ground-bound, soft-skinned, and yet disturbingly persistent. The envoy had requested trade talks, knowledge exchange, cultural observation. They had smiled often. Too often, Arethusa did not trust smiles that showed teeth. The humans had been given quarters in the lower guest wing, near the gardens, a polite distance from the royal aerie, and that was where the last witness had seen Liriel walking. Toward the human gardens, Arethusa had waited 3 days before going there herself. A queen must not appear desperate. But on the morning of the 4th day, she dismissed her attendants and descended the spiral ramp alone. The lower palace smelled different. Less wind, more earth. The human quarters were filled with strange objects. Fabric banners, books bound in thick covers, metal tools that looked both delicate and dangerous. She followed the faint sound of water. The gardens were open to the sky, but enclosed by high stone walls. Human plants grew in ordered rows beside Averan sky flowers. A small artificial stream wound through the grass. Arethusa stepped silently across the stones. Then she saw them, beneath the broad leaves of a shade tree. Curled against the trunk lay her daughter. Liriel's silver wings were wrapped around her body like a blanket. Her head rested on something soft, no dot on someone. A human male sat with his back against the tree. His eyes were closed. One arm was draped loosely around the princess's shoulders. Not possessive, not tight, simply there. Liriel slept peacefully. Ari the SSA felt something inside her crack. Rage surged first, hot and blinding. Her claws extended with a sharp metallic whisper. Her wings flared wide, casting a shadow over the peered at the human's eyes opened. Instantly they were brown, calm, alert. Did not reach for a weapon. He did not shove the princess away. He simply met the queen's gaze. A voice echoed through the garden. "Remove your arm from my daughter." The human obeyed it. Once, slowly, carefully, he lifted his arm and placed both hands on his knees. Stirred, her eyes opened, unfocused at first. Then she saw her mother. Mother, there was no fear in her voice, only surprise. Arethusa stepped forward. "Stand and come to me." Liriel sat up instead. She is angry, the princess. told the human softly. I would be too, he replied. The queen's claws trembled. Explain, she demanded. Liriel rose to her feet. She did not fly to her mother as expected. She walked. I came here to observe the humans, she said, as you taught me, to understand those who may become allies. Arethessa's jaw tightened. For 3 days, yes. The human remained seated. Liriel continued. The first day I asked questions. The second day I listened to stories. On the third day I asked why humans build gardens in places where they cannot fly. Arethessa did not respond. Liriel looked at the man beside her. He said that humans rest where they feel safe, even if they cannot see the horizon. The queen's gaze snapped to him. And you believe my daughter found safety with you? The human inclined his head. I believe she was tired. Tired of what? Of being watched, he said quietly. The words struck harder than any blade. Liriel's wings shifted uneasily. Mother, I am always escorted, always guarded. Even my thoughts are expected to follow tradition. Here, I was simply Liriel. Arethessa felt the garden tilt around her. You disappeared without notice. I left a note, Liriel said. The queen froze. A note. In my chamber, under the navigation charts. Areth had not searched under the charts because she had assumed kidnapping, sabotage, political attack. She had not considered that her daughter had chosen to leave. The human spoke again, voice steady. She slept because she has not truly rested in weeks. I stayed because your guards circled the walls every hour. I thought if they saw me awake beside her, they would hesitate before drawing weapons. You assume much. Yes, he agreed. Liriel stepped closer to her mother. He never touched me without permission. He never asked for secrets. He never treated me as a prize. Arethessa studied him carefully. No visible weapons. No defensive stance. No tremor of fear. Only patience. You understand, she said to him, that I could order your execution. Yes, and you would not resist. He met her gaze again. If resisting endangered her, no. The queen searched for deceit. She found none. Liriel's voice softened. Mother, you always told me strength is not shown by height in the sky, but by what we protect. Arethessa closed her eyes briefly. 3 days of terror, of imagining chains, of imagining her daughter's wings broken. And here she was, curled beneath a tree, sleeping because someone had allowed her to. The queen stepped forward and extended a hand toward Liriel. This time, the princess took it. Arethessa pulled her close, wrapping 2 wings around her daughter's shoulders. The contact was firm, almost desperate. After a moment, she looked at the human. What is your name? Daniel Reyes. Daniel Reyes, she repeated. You will attend the palace this evening. His brow lifted slightly. As a prisoner, as a guest, she corrected. Liriel smiled. The queen continued. You will tell me these human stories that convinced my daughter to ignore her duties. Daniel allowed a small smile. They are mostly about failure. Good, Aretha said. We understand failure. It is how flight is learned. Liriel laughed softly. The tension in the garden shifted. Not gone, but altered. Arethessa turned toward the exit. Her daughter beside her. She paused once more and looked back at the human. You will walk behind us, she said. Not because you are lesser, but because I am still deciding what you are. Daniel rose carefully. That seems fair. As they left the garden, sunlight spilled across the path. For 3 days, the queen had imagined losing her child to darkness. Instead, she had found her daughter curled up next to a human, alive, unharmed, resting. Perhaps, Arethusa thought, as the wind caught her wings. The sky was not the only place where safety could be found, and perhaps strength was not always measured by how high one flew. Sometimes it was measured by who you allowed to stand beside you on the ground.